Let's jump right into some short-term time frame price analysis for Solana, Terra Luna, Polygon, Matic. Use the tags down below to jump to your coin of interest. I will start off with a quick Bitcoin main idea because I'm going to tie my short-term time frame analysis for these three assets to different main ideas on where Bitcoin might go. Let's get it.
Hit the like button
and subscribe,
or else let's go. From my live chat on Tuesday, March 1st, and the other video that I uploaded, I went over how I think these are the three most probable areas for Bitcoin to go before a significant pullback. When I say significant, that means more than a 8% pullback. A simple pullback of Bitcoin down to, the weekly 10, which is this thicker red line down to 42.5. I think that is more of a range and consolidation. I mean, a pullback significantly below the weekly 10 or significantly below 42,300. However, the most likely scenarios, in my opinion, for if price continues to charge up is the most probable. I think 46,000 is going to hit that. So let's call that box number 2. This is box number 3 and box number 1. I think the first most probable for the price point hit before a pullback, thus on Luna as well, thus on Solana as well. I think that 46K, Bitcoin tagging that before a pullback under 42,300 is the most probable. I think box number 1 is the second most probable, and I think box number 3 is the third most probable. And let's dive right into, let's do Solana first. And now, under those conditions, I'll give you some price targets. What Solana would hit should Bitcoin hit one of each of those three areas. Just like Bitcoin, Solana has overhead resistance from the monthly 10. This thin red line right there is the monthly 10. This line right here, the thicker one, is the weekly 10. If Bitcoin were to get to the 48K level, I don't see Solana coming all the way up to the weekly 10. From a percentage standpoint, I think that's too far. If Bitcoin were to hit 48, I could see Solana more likely between 110 and 113. That would be my box number 3 for Solana, assuming the uptrend continues. If Bitcoin were to peter out now, then clearly the top before a significant pullback will have already occurred. This local high right at 105. So if Bitcoin were to, per my most probable expectations, go up to 46K, I think Solana would hit the 105 level and not much higher. That is the three most likely price paths, not even a price path, but the targets that I can see it. Now, it is possible that Bitcoin does have a significant pullback just after having tapped out at about 44,800. If that were the case, I would expect Solana could have, some different price action, maybe wick up into this box one more time and then roll over with Bitcoin. It could look something like that, but I would definitely look out for one more gasp, one more wick up before it really lets go in the event that we have already seen the high. In the idea that Bitcoin will, per my most probable, that Bitcoin will test up higher, I could see Solana testing down somewhere between 92. So this is the 4-hour EMA fill using the 21 and 55 EMAs. I could see Solana coming somewhere between 91.75 to 94. I will make these a red box for a pullback area. And this pullback would be related specifically to in the event that Solana still went up in price later. I specifically am seeing a moderate pullback here before this is, so this would not be considered a significant pullback. This would be just a normal consolidation correction before eventually hitting one of these targets later in the week. I can see that happening. So that would be my pullback area at 91 or 92 to $94 before then extending back up going with Bitcoin. Or before Bitcoin charges all the way up to 48K, and then in which Solana would hit somewhere closer to, I would say 112 to 115 bucks, somewhere around that point. Let's go ahead. Oh, now I can drag it. Here we go. That is what I'm looking for right there. All right, so now let's say, what if Bitcoin rolls over, right? What if it rolls over and that was it? How low is Solana going to go? And I'm going to do this for all three assets as well. Here you have your three targets for Solana, and this is your pullback area that I'll make yellow. Well, there's a pretty obvious horizontal here. If Bitcoin were to make a higher low, I think Solana in general would bleed a little bit versus Bitcoin during a down move. If Bitcoin were to make a higher low somewhere above, where would that be? 40,000 bucks, maybe even as low as right here. So yeah, about 40,000 bucks on Bitcoin. That would be a 10% drop in price. So I think Solana would drop slightly more than that, so let's just do a simple measure down. And this is under the circumstance that we've already seen the high, that this is the box that was going to be hit before a significant pullback, which right now you don't know if that's accurate. And in that case, I think Solana would probably correct somewhere around 12%, and you would also maintain your higher low structure and this horizontal, rough horizontal. Actually, a trend line connecting a couple recent lows here, and I could see Solana come down to 86 bucks in the event that Bitcoin tests just under 40K, which technically really isn't that much of a death sentence. It's not a big deal if that were to happen. That would be a normal and healthy higher low area. I would not be freaked out if Solana went down to 86 bucks. I would consider that a very healthy pullback. However, a 12% move down could be imminent if box number 1 is the height before a pullback. That would be my target, somewhere close to 86 bucks. Let's go ahead and do something similar for Terra Luna. Let's jump right in. Turn on your camera and microphone and ask me questions directly live up to 8 times a week directly to my face. Again, with your camera and microphone on. Links to the Discord community in the description section of all my videos. Make sure you're following me on Twitter, 𝘃𝐢𝐬𝐜𝐴 with the number 2 after 𝘃𝐢𝐬𝐜2. And following like communities are not your thing, but you want exclusive content above and beyond what I offer on YouTube, click the join button that's right below this video, and another video will pop up describing your options to you. Okay, and remember, I'm doing this with the 3 boxes. Clearly, the current box is going to be where price is right in this exact moment. That's box number 1. And again, I still think at this time, even though Bitcoin and Luna pull back a little bit, I still think it's more probable that the box number 2 for each asset will be hit. And for Luna, I think that box number 2 would test all-time highs. Around, I think it would go over 100 bucks. Because Luna's outperforming Bitcoin. If Bitcoin makes a 3% move up to 46K, I think Luna could have a 10% move. I really do see that. I think this coin has a lot of folks in its community who are really adamant about it, and I think larger players are getting into it. If Bitcoin goes up to 46K, I could see Luna easily piercing 100 bucks, perhaps as high as 105, assuming Bitcoin then turns around at the 46K level. My target would be 101 to 105 for box number 2, and again, as of now, I still think that's the most probable. I believe from an EMA perspective, the EMA still looks healthy. You're making higher lows this whole way, haven't broken the structure, and the 4-hour RSI is still within the bullish control zone. Heads up, though, the 4-hour RSI on Luna is below its EMA, but it is very likely that the RSI will bounce off this green zone, then get back above its EMA. So the white line right there is its EMA. Just a heads up, if you see Luna come up and get rejected by it, and the 4-hour RSI sometime tomorrow or the 3rd of March, the 4-hour RSI then, after getting rejected from this white line, also comes below. So this is the big thing to watch out for Luna. If it comes below the green zone and gets rejected, that means Luna's probably going to have a healthy correction. But if you simply see Luna's 4-hour RSI go below, that's not a death sentence. What would be the big kicker if it comes back up and gets rejected? That would take a full 8 hours more to confirm that, right? For confirmation of that shit. This is very statistically likely to come down. That would be what I'm eyeballing. Very easy thing to watch out for on Luna in the event that it does roll over. And then your third box, if Bitcoin were to charge up to 48K, I think it would most likely hit some form of trend line up there. So let's try to see how Luna is behaving here. I might have to put on a daily chart, spread this out a little bit. Let's try to find out where Luna would go. Stay in this trading channel. So it's actually broken out of this trading channel. It probably hit the point of control. If Bitcoin were to specifically go to 48K, Luna would very, very likely, in the event Bitcoin did rush up to 48K, Luna would find itself at 120 bucks, right around there, 117 to 120. That would be my 3 targets. Now, if box number 1 is specifically where Bitcoin starts turning around, I would assume that Luna, in its higher low fashion, would simply form a higher low in the very typical way, somewhere along a 45-degree path. Now, how fast it finds that, I don't know. It is possible it just goes sideways, doesn't fall, goes like this, and just and it might live inside of a 45-degree angle. I don't know how fast it will come down and then start charging up towards all-time highs, or to break that trend of a rough 45-degree angle. However, on my chart, I would be eyeballing with like a telescope, right? A rough 45-degree angle, and that's where I think Luna will find its higher low, because this asset is very strong. Now, from a horizontal standpoint, though, you can just block off some areas here, some easy supports and resistances. I'm going to pick the middle of each zone. Something to that effect. I can see Luna coming down. Let's see if it really does get rejected. Bam, bam. Yep, I can see Luna on a higher low fashion come down to 76 bucks. And after that point, I think, actually, let's measure from 8%. Maybe not even that low. I take that back, because Bitcoin will probably bounce around 10%, and Luna would probably go down, I don't know, it has a chance of going down less than 10%. I'm actually going to up that ante. So for my yellow box, I'm going to up this. I'm going to up it to 78 to 80 bucks. For a pullback area. I'm going to make this a small yellow box, something to that effect. I will make it yellow. And I'm making this yellow because that's not some type of unhealthy type of deal, right? I think it would be a fairly healthy pullback. Now, short-term time frame pullback, before a move up to this box, so let's say that Bitcoin does go up to box number 2. In that event, you could have a short-term time frame pullback. Before you approach this, I could see Luna, I think Luna would actually ride this origin line. So I don't see Luna In the event Bitcoin makes it up to box number 2, I don't see Luna going much below $88. I think it'll ride this origin line and it's ascending. I don't think Luna's going to come significantly below, like any lower than $88. I really don't see that happening, assuming Bitcoin stays above its weekly 10, which is roughly 2% below its current price. I think Luna will stay at about 88 or over in the event Bitcoin goes up to either 46 or 48K, in which Luna would go to the roughly 103 and then $120 levels. And then my major pullback area, if right now box number 1 is the key, I think a target for Luna would be about $77. All right, but it doesn't look like it's getting ready to roll over now. Luna, for a chart in and of itself, does not look ready to roll over. However, Bitcoin can and likely will pull it down. But in the event that Bitcoin does roll over now, Luna could have one more quick pop up to that second target, retest its highs at $100. It could easily happen. Those are my targets to be looking at. Let's go on to Polygon Matic here. All right, now let's go to Polygon Matic. Polygon Matic has an interesting scenario here. It's following a trend line in specific regard to lower highs on its journey down. It has a perfect setup, essentially. Luna was like this, but Luna has clearly broken that. And because Polygon Matic has not broken that, I think that if Bitcoin were to go up to the 48K range, I would anticipate a wick above this to about $1. I would say just shy of $1.75. If box number 3 is hit by Bitcoin, I would place this at roughly $1.75. If box number 2 for Bitcoin is hit, honestly, I think all 3 of these are going to stack. I don't see this gaining versus Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin could honestly make gains on this asset as it goes up until Polygon Matic gets above this line, uses as support. Then when Bitcoin has a 5% bump, Matic's pump could be an 8% bump. But until that happens, I think that any pump that Matic has versus Bitcoin will be slightly compressed. Therefore, these 3 boxes are just going to be stacked on top of each other, right? That would be my rationale for that. I think Bitcoin will outperform this until specifically it gets above this nasty trend line right here. And and again, this box, the current range, if box number 1 is the deal breaker, obviously current highs is the high. If Bitcoin were to wick up or test soundly a 46K, I could see $1.70 being hit somewhere in the middle. And if Bitcoin goes to 48K, I could see Polygon Matic go up to about $1.76, but maybe test the top of this range. Okay, I might take that back a little bit. If Bitcoin at 48K, I could see. I guess I will extend this a little bit. I think it'll wick above. It'll get above this somewhere between $1.75 and $1.78 would be my box number 3 for Polygon Matic in the event Bitcoin hits 48K. Now, on its way up to one of these higher boxes, an easy pullback area would either be the current wick low of this structure. Let me zoom in. Would be a current wick low of this structure, or a slightly more significant, just barely more significant pullback. If Bitcoin pulls back 3%, this could pull back 3 1/3. I could see a box, again, healthy pullback before further upside. I'm going to make this box yellow. I could see somewhere between $1.55 to $1.56 right here in this box. It would probably bounce before moving up to here, or it'd probably come down to make a bounce before then moving up closer to $1.70 to box number 2. In the event that box number 1 truly is the chosen one, and Bitcoin rolls over and makes a significant down move, over close to around 40K for a 10% move, I think this will bleed versus Bitcoin. I would measure down just very specific. I would probably measure down a little bit more than 12%, something like 15%, maybe only 12. But if Bitcoin goes to 40K, I mean, this is probably coming to $1.40, folks, unfortunately. I think it'll, because it's stuck under that, I don't think it's outperforming Bitcoin right now. If Bitcoin hits about 39,500 on a wick, right? Okay, this would be on a wick basis. If it were to come down here, I think it would get more of an immediate bounce. It would not live down there very much. Therefore, that would be a good potential, in terms of this plan, a good pickup target if Bitcoin gets that significant pullback. And again, this level right here is going to be between $1.40 and $1.42.5. $1.40 to $1.42.5. Let me make that box red. And these would be my levels. And again, before Bitcoin does make a move up, I honestly do anticipate that it does move down to its weekly 10, which would incline that each of these 3 assets hits their yellow box first and then potentially wants to move up to box number 2. So, if depending on what coin you're most interested in, I would really try to focus on these yellow boxes and not trying to buy a breakout. I see a pullback happening before that, even though still I think box number 2 is the most likely at this point because of Bitcoin's overall momentum. But that would be my play if I wanted to play these assets. Click this video right here if you missed my most recent Bitcoin update, and click this playlist right here if you're new to crypto and you want to learn how to set up a chart like mine and or learn very basic buy and sell strategies to help you out in your crypto journey. Click the circle in the middle. If you're new to my channel, you just got 𝐷𝐼𝐻 𝐕 𝐲𝐿 𝐵𝐷. Peace.